Welcome back to Inside Politics. Our guest today, State Senator Jim Tracy from the Shelbyville area. Senator, you changed leadership roles this year. You were chairman of the Transportation Committee, left right before this big major year in transportation. Why did you decide you'd prefer to be in leadership as Speaker Pro Tem?
I thought, with my experience now, this is my 13th year, I wanted to, and this was up to the Speaker. The Speaker does this. He appoints the Speaker Pro Tem, which I'm honored to have. I'm still involved on the Transportation Committee. I'm a member of that committee. I'm involved in this greatly, even though I'm not the chairman. So I wanted to move in the leadership role. With my experience, I thought I would be able to communicate some of the ideas.
And for those who don't follow the legislature closely, the Speaker Pro Tem, what's the duties and responsibilities of that position?
Duties are whatever the Speaker wants me to do, usually, which I will fill in for him. I'll preside before the Senate. I got to do that a couple weeks ago when he was out of town for a day, and I'm involved in all the leadership meetings with the leadership in the House. So as we work through the budget, I'm involved in that. I'm involved in the legislation. I'm involved in putting a coalition together too of doing that.
Lieutenant Governor McNally just began his positions, but you moving into Pro Tem, is that an indication that if that seat became vacant again in the future, you might be interested in offering yourself for that?
To be honest, I hadn't even really given any thought. It's taken so much time this year and responsibility, I hadn't even given any thought. Speaker McNally's doing a great job. He's got a great knowledge.
One statewide appointment that the legislature does is being Attorney General, and that's been a source of some interest, particularly in the last Lieutenant Governor. He very much wanted a Republican to do that. Finally, there was enough of a majority on the Supreme Court that became the case, but there are still members in your body. In fact, the Senate voted 23-9 just a couple of weeks ago to begin to approve a constitutional amendment that would allow the Attorney General to be popularly elected statewide. Why do we need to do that?
I think there's a lot of folks that would like to do it. And if you go to states around us, a lot of states do elect their Attorney General. It gives them more of they would be more free to operate. This is what some members think as an Attorney General. Do
they have problems with the current Attorney General, General Slattery?
I don't think so. I haven't heard any complaints other than normal complaints.
Now, Tennessee doesn't have a lot of elected statewide positions. In fact, the governor's the only one outside of the two senators, which are federal positions. Is this an effort by some lawmakers looking for something else to run for statewide?
It may be, and it does give an opportunity for people to run statewide. You're correct. Other states around us, I know Georgia, I think their lieutenant governor runs statewide, and other states have their Attorney General, like Alabama. The Attorney General runs.
I don't see any bills being offered on this, but if we're going to start electing constitutional officers, why not do all of them like that? Why not the Secretary of State? Why not the Treasurer, the Comptroller, people like that? Other states do that as well.
That's true. We haven't got that far down yet.
There also has been quite a bit of controversy in the legislature. Some of it's been in legislation up there. Some of it's been off the Hill about privatizing state services. There's already been a contract issued to do that for a lot of state university offices across the state. There's quite a bit of controversy doing it about parks. In the parks area, there's actually bills moving through committees, through Republican-controlled committees, that would seem to stop that by not allowing contracts after that, after July 1st. What are your thoughts about privatizing the park system?
We have a lot of questions about it right now. We had a meeting this week, that very thing, discussing it, Pat. So the governor made his presentation to us on Wednesday about JLL, and it is permissive for the universities to do it. It's not mandatory for them to do it. We still have a lot of questions. We're just in the beginning stage. It is done by executive order. We don't have to have legislation to do it. The governor doesn't have to have legislation to do it.
A number of the Regent Schools, talking about those schools across the state that are going to have this decision. So these new boards that are that the legislature helped create with the governor, that may be one of the first decisions they get to make, and first perhaps controversial decisions they'll have to deal as to whether they want to privatize the operation of these facilities.
That's exactly right. I met with a group from MTSU last night for an hour and a half, and that was one of their discussions about this very thing.
What would you advise? I suspect the nearest Regent School to you would be in Middle Tennessee State University. Would you advise the president down there and that board to perhaps look towards privatization, or perhaps go slowly on that?
I would advise them to go slowly and go through it piece by piece to look at everything that it affects. Because when you have a university in a community, there's a lot of small businesses that are affected by that university, and I just think they need to go slowly on it.
And you're concerned that some vendors that are currently used down there won't be used in the future, and employees might also have a situation where they're not either rehired or not kept on the jobs?
That's the concern. The governor put in this that the employees will be able to be hired by the vendor at the same wage and the benefits, but that's why I think they need to go slowly. It's a big change.
What parks do you have in your district?
Henry Horton State Park.
And that's one of the ones there's been quite a bit of controversy. In fact, that's the one where there's been talk about tearing down the end there or perhaps privatizing it, and there's a petition drive to try to change that going on. Again, you'd like to see the governor move slowly. Has he not done a good job explaining that to you guys on the front end?
I think it's just a big change. I've been to a couple meetings in Chapel Hill and Henry Horton, so it's a big deal in that community, and we've asked them to hold back on not doing a lot of those things at Henry Horton, because we think Henry Horton, being within 60 miles of Nashville, has got great potential. There's been some talk about the governor finalizing those through the administration in May before this new bill might take effect if it was passed, because it wouldn't take effect till July 1st. What would you say to the administration about getting this in under the wire instead of waiting and letting the legislature express its opinion about this? I think they need to talk to the leadership in both the House and the Senate about this issue a little bit more, because we're just now getting into the details of it. So
we're in your final month. You think you're going to be able to get out here? The legislature's been used to getting out by mid-April. You're going to go a little later this year.
Maybe first week in May, with everything going, just like we've talked about with the Improve Act. We cannot move forward with the budget till we get through the Improve Act to know what kind of money we're dealing with.
So you could get hung up on that, and usually there's one or two bills that come out of nowhere you got to figure out.
Correct. That is correct.
Senator, thank you so much for coming in. Good luck with the rest of the session.
Thank you, Pat.
And thank you for joining us on Inside Politics. Hope you'll be back here again for a future show. If you can't get enough politics in the meantime, go to the NewsChannel 5 website. You'll find my Capitol View commentary there. There's a new commentary posted every Friday afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you back here next time. Goodbye.